For example, and specifically, this is irrespective of the different sectors or industries that the business tycoons were involved with, but had a lot of regard for Ratan Tata. In the latest, Hiranandani, grieving Tata's demise, saying that he was a close friend. The visuals, those images with them on your screens. Close friend of Mr. Tata. Now, in a conversation with India Today, on Ratan Tata's passing, Mumbai industrialist Niranjan Hiranandani, remember tycoons in the real estate specifically, was a close friend of Ratan Tata. And what does it mean to lose a friend of that nature?
Let's go across now to prominent Mumbai industrialist Niranjan Hiranandani. He joins us to remember the life and times of Mr. Ratan Tata. Mr. Hiranandani, you were at the Breach Candy Hospital. In some ways, you know, you've also grown up in Mumbai. You saw the life and times of Mr. Tata very closely. At a time like this, when the country is in mourning, how do you remember this industrial legend?
A great leader with a human heart, which is far beyond the 99% of the leaders that become great. The humility with which and the simplicity with which he led life is something amazing. It's a lesson to be learned, and I think a great example for all youngsters who grow up in this country, that you can achieve greatness beyond human imagination. You can lead the world. You can be a great industrialist. You can be a great moneyed man. But you can still have that heart. You can still have that simplicity, and you can still live a life which is so simple that you cannot imagine. Great human being and a great friend of mine. So I mean, I'm of course lost a wonderful friend and mentor to me. So I would say that the country has lost a great human being that is there.
Mr. Hiranandani, what separated... Yes.
I want to share a story with you.
Yes, please.
One of the stories which is known is the fact that he was supposed to get an award in London, and he was about to leave for London. And last moment he cancelled going to receive an award over there. I don't remember which award this was. And after he cancelled, there was, checking up and what has happened. Is he unwell? What was the reason for his cancellation? And the truth came out that his dog was unwell. So he cancelled the trip because he couldn't leave his dog, and he took him to the vet, looked after him, etc., and cancelled his visit to London. So, I mean, stories like these are plenty, but in reality, it just gives an example of a great person who is so down to earth, so simple, so light, and a lesson to learn for all of us, that the life is these memories that will survive him beyond imagination.
There's been such a massive outpouring of grief. It's almost as if everybody connected with Mr. Tata in some way, respected his stature, his approach to business and life. What separated him from the others? I mean, the kind of credibility, goodwill he seems to enjoy is much more than any of the other industrial groups, with no disrespect to anybody, but just the outpouring of affection seems to be highly unprecedented.
I think a combination of values. A combination of values in terms of ethical values, so that the success that he brought about was brought about ethically. Number two, nationalism beyond imagination. The focus was to acquire the car and the Range Rover overseas, and the companies and the steel companies overseas. But the Indianness of thinking, can I make a car which is affordable to every Indian at the downstream? So while you would have a TCS company at the top end of the whole thing, the human heart of reaching on to the common man and believing that industry is about connecting to each and every person, not only the top end but also this end. So the fact that Tata's as an empire has grown, but the foundation that he has kept and the pillars of values that is there in the thing will go far beyond any human imaginations of making money. People make money, but that's a separate issue. But values to create and examples to be, very few. Very, very, very few. And you cannot imagine the kind of friendship that he would extend. The last time I went to him, he exerted to come up to the car to lead me. And he said, "You are such a good friend. I want to see you up to your car."
Mm-hmm.
Now, can you imagine him not well? Even then, he came to the car.
What a truly incredible human being. At the time of mourning, Mr. Hiranandani, for joining us and sharing your thoughts about the legend of Mr. Tata. Thank you so much. Appreciate this.
Thank you.
And perhaps it's a quote by Maya Angelou I remember today, that it's not about what you may have done in life, but the kind of impact that you've led on people, how you make them feel, is perhaps how you will be remembered. Before I head into a break, a question from you, Krishna Gopalan, as business journalist. When you see the kind of tributes that are unfolding, how do you think eventually in the years to come, generations who may not have seen or heard in person of Ratan Tata will remember his legacy by?
Pooja, one, I'm not one bit surprised because it's just a testimony to his contribution. And I think the Tata playbook or the Tata case study is out there for everyone to see. So anyone who's looking to start a business will be spoiled for choice, if I may say so. Just to pick up the Tata case book and just understand how he went about each of his businesses. So anybody looking to start a business today will have that particular information or that particular insight at one's disposal. So I think generational Indians who are looking to get into entrepreneurship or looking to assume top positions in India Incorporated will be tremendously inspired by the kind of work he put in. The transformation of Tata Group from a large group to becoming a global conglomerate is not easy. I'm saying it very casually, but the effort that went in is something which we absorb by all of us.
Absolutely, and many would say he may have taken a legacy from his great-grandson and great-grandfather and grandfathers, but the fact is to put yourself in that position and to ensure that there is a consistency over decades to take the brand to such heights also is reflective of the vision he had. Stay on with me, Krishna, please. I have to take a very short commercial break, but when we return, we are already looking at updates coming in from the residents in Colaba, where people are reaching, have been from the late evening when the news was confirmed. So let's go on the ground after the break. What is it looking like in Mumbai after a break?
हरियाणा में इंडिया गठबंधन नहीं बन पाया क्योंकि वहां कांग्रेस को लगता था कि बस हम अपने ताकत पर अपने बलबूते पर जीतेंगे तो सत्ता में और कोई भागीदार नहीं चाहिए। तो हमारे जो मित्र है हुड्डा जी या कांग्रेस के नेता है उनको लगा कि हम ही जीतेंगे। अगर समाजवादी पार्टी है अखिलेश जी की, आप है केजरीवाल साहब के नेतृत्व में, हमारे जैसे छोटे छोटे दल है, हमारे खाते में 1-2 सीटें आ जाती तो जरूर ये जो चित्र है, ये निर्णय है जो जनता ने दिया, उसमें जरूर बदलाव होता। मैं ये मानता हूं कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने जो चुनाव लड़ा है वो बहुत ही बेहतरीन तरीके से लड़ा है। हारी हुई बाजी बीजेपी ने जीत ली, ये मान्य करना पड़ेगा।
बीजेपी managed to take advantage of divisions among the India bloc political parties. So BJP managed. Otherwise, Haryana, there could have been a change of government and BJP could have been defeated hands down. Why it did not happen? The India bloc political parties will have to draw serious lessons, will have to do serious introspection. Why there was no mutual trust in each other, why there was no mutual accommodation at the time of seat sharing arrangement.
To an Indian, clearly Ratan Tata needs no introduction. It's not only a brand name, but someone that was a household name as well and for generations. But still, let's take a look at the journey of Ratan Tata and how he made a contribution to India's economy, India's lifestyle and India's image in the global business fraternity. A profile on him.
The year was 1962 when a young man of 25 entered the offices of the National Radio and Electronics Company Limited at Andheri in Mumbai. 9 years later, he was the director in charge of the company, and a decade later, the chairman of Tata Industries. In 1991, he succeeded J.R.D. Tata as the chairman of the Tata Group. The youth was Ratan Tata, fresh out of Cornell University, armed with a bachelor's degree in architecture, more than ready to enter and learn as he would rise from the lowest rungs in one of India's most hallowed industrial houses. Today, Tata's contribution to India's largest conglomerate and to the nation's economy was second to none. He was on a pedestal very few industrialists in the country were able to climb. Though he had the magic surname, young Ratan had a tough act to follow, that of his predecessors Jamsetji Tata, Dorab Tata, and finally the iconic J.R.D. Ratan Tata took on the challenge, and by the time he retired in December 2012, the Tata Group's financials spoke loud about the impact he had. During his tenure, the group's revenues grew manifold, totaling over $100 billion in 2011-2012.
Been recognized all over the world as an enterprising country.
Ratan Tata identified the opportunity which the liberalization of the Indian economy provided and began restructuring the Tata Group in 1991. Under his leadership, the group acquired high-profile international brands like Tetley Tea, Daewoo, Chorus Steel and Jaguar Land Rover. He was also the man behind Tata Nano, the company's small car project, which he hoped would give wheels to the middle class. The journey, however, was not easy and tested his mettle at every turn. First, he had to deal with the satraps, a legacy left by his uncle J.R.D. Tata. Rusi Modi lorded over Tata Steel. Darbari Seth was the final voice at Tata Tea and Tata Chemicals. Ajit Kherkar was the force behind Indian Hotels. And Nani Palkhiwala was the man behind ACC. Each considered these companies their fiefdoms and looked at Ratan Tata as another outsider they had to deal with. 6 years after taking over as the Tata Group chairman, all four of them had resigned. Ratan also wielded the broom on several companies. He exited cement, textiles and cosmetics, and focused his energies on software, telecom, finance and retail. Finally, after serving as group chairman for 21 years, Ratan Tata retired in December 2012. He had spent 50 illustrious years with the Tata Group. An avid aviator, Tata was awarded the Padma Vibhushan, the country's second highest civilian honour, by the Government of India in 2008. The humble, reclusive industrialist was also known for his philanthropic work. Till his death, he served as the chairman of the Tata Trusts, which are amongst India's oldest non-sectarian philanthropic organizations that work in several areas of community development. The proudest moment for him, perhaps, in recent years was bringing Air India back home to the Tata fold. And while he aimed to touch the skies, his other love was dogs. Doors of even the Bombay house were open to strays all day long.
The Congress is in shock. A day after the party was stunned against the run of play in Haryana, the leadership is in denial. Leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi posted on X, the Congress is collecting complaints from its candidates and approaching the Election Commission. The grand old party is at the receiving end of some intense firing from its India bloc allies after the setback in Haryana Assembly elections. The Aam Aadmi Party and the Samajwadi Party, which were refused seat-sharing deal by the Congress in Haryana, took pot shots at their embattled ally. The National Conference suggested the Congress should study the poll reverses, hinted that his party could have won the election in Jammu and Kashmir without Congress.
I think the Congress is going to be disappointed with its own performance, so I don't really need to heap insult on injury. Haryana was a huge shock. All credit to the BJP. They pulled this one out of nowhere. But I'm sure the Congress is going to sit back, analyze what went wrong.
The Congress is set to feel the heat in Maharashtra, where allies Uddhav Thackeray and Sharad Pawar will seek a higher share during seat talks ahead of state polls. The Trinamool Congress pointed to the Congress's failure to work with its allies, attributing the loss to arrogance. The Haryana election results has come as a booster shot for the BJP, which was smarting under the loss of seats in the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, bolstered by the historic hat-trick, gunned for the Congress at the BJP's victory rally on Tuesday. With the high-stake elections in Jharkhand and Maharashtra approaching, the Congress does not have much time to regroup, but will have to hit the ground running. Bureau Report, India Today.
let's talk about dating apps in India. Apps like Tinder, Bumble and Hinge are so popular that it seems like everyone in Gen Z is on these apps right now. But not everyone is enjoying their experience on these apps, and that's primarily due to three big problems: fake profiles, catfishing and scams on dating apps. Let me explain what these terms mean. Let's start with catfishing. This is when someone pretends to be someone else entirely on their online profiles. This can also be harmless, like two friends playing a prank on a third one. But in most cases on dating apps, this is a serious problem. According to a survey by Kaspersky, 51% of global users said that they had been catfished on dating apps. But in today's world where scams dominate the digital world, catfishing is causing people to lose lakhs of rupees on dating apps. However, there is a new scam that's picked up on dating apps recently. According to men who have fallen prey to this scam, here's how it works. A woman would match with a man, but she would be very eager to meet them instantly, but only at specific bars and restaurants. And once the duo meet, the woman orders some of the most expensive items on the menu, food and drinks. And when the bill comes, she turns to leave and she makes an excuse. But the man is forced to pay this very expensive bill. And if he fails to pay that expensive bill, he can even be beaten up in some extreme cases. But it's not just men who are getting scammed. Women have also reported a high number of fake profiles on these dating apps. According to a recent survey, 78% of women reported that they encountered fake profiles on dating as well as matrimonial apps. 78%, that is a huge number. So how do we tackle these problems on dating apps? Well, for starters, all of these dating apps like Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, they all have a selfie verification process. So you can upload a selfie, a picture or a video of your face. The app algorithms authenticate this by matching the photo, the one that you've uploaded, with the ones that are already uploaded on your profile. And if it's a match, then you get verified. So it's like a blue tick mark against your name, just like you see on social media. This shows to other users that you're a real person and not a fake profile. But is this enough? The survey that I reported earlier, in that same survey, almost 82% of women responded that they need more. This current process is not enough and they feel that government IDs should be used to verify whether a person is who they claim they are or not.
Powered by the bold look of Kohler.
Good morning and welcome. I'm Pooja Shali. It's our continuous coverage on the passing of a legend of India and possibly in the global fraternity too. Ratan Tata no more at 86 and the tributes are pouring in one after another. First, the headlines. Veteran industrialist Ratan Tata dies at 86. Ratan Tata passes away after a critical illness. Last rites of Ratan Tata will be held at about 3:30 p.m. Home Minister Amit Shah will be representing the government at the funeral, as it is going to be the state funeral that will be accorded to him. Tributes continue to pour in from all corners for Ratan Tata. Netas, stars, businessmen condoling the death. Many are also reflecting on their experiences and friendship with Ratan Tata. Importantly, the lives that he touched beyond the boardroom. Delhi CM's no entry politics in Delhi. Atishi appears to have been locked out of Chief Minister's house. Civic body seals the Chief Minister resident. Aam Aadmi Party claims CM luggage thrown out. Congress bleeds but allies attack. Congress snubbed for Uttar Pradesh by polls. Akhilesh declares SP candidates. SP netas taunt the Congress party. In the international news, all eyes on Israel now next for its move. Iran and Israel meanwhile trade warnings. Says Israel is the only force fighting Iran. Hezbollah pounded in Lebanon. And what an interesting interview that's going viral. Donald Trump praising Prime Minister Modi, calling him the nicest human being and a friend. And also then added how Modi is always standing up for his nation. As Ratan Tata will be accorded a state funeral in the afternoon as a representative of the government, Home Minister Amit Shah will be representing the GOI and will be attending Ratan Tata's funeral. So Home Minister Amit Shah appears to have been confirmed and most likely will be there in Mumbai where the last rites will be organized. So Home Minister Amit Shah, and remember that means a senior leader, a senior representative of the government will be there and no less, because that's going to also reflect on the kind of legacy that Ratan Tata has left behind. So that is the latest that we have. Himanshu Mishra is joining me for the latest. Himanshu, रतन टाटा जरूर एक बड़ा नाम रहे हैं, लेकिन क्योंकि गृह मंत्री अमित शाह का जाना स्टेट फ्यूनरल पे वो भी दर्शाता है कि गवर्नमेंट अपने सबसे सीनियर नेता को भेजना चाह रही है।
देखिए बिल्कुल, और क्योंकि सरकार की तरफ से जो रिप्रेजेंटेटिव के तौर पे शामिल होंगे वो गृह मंत्री अमित शाह शामिल हो रहे हैं। रतन टाटा देश के एक ऐसे बड़े उद्योगपति हैं जिन्होंने देश के लिए बहुत कुछ किया उद्योग जगत के लिए, उद्योग जगत में रहते हुए, और पूजा इसीलिए देश के गृह मंत्री जो है उनकी अंतिम राइट्स में जो है शामिल होने जा रहे हैं सरकार की तरफ से। और सरकार को भी मालूम है कि टाटा ग्रुप किस तरीके से जो है वो काम करता है उद्योग जगत में, और कई ऐसे काम है उद्योग जगत के साथ साथ जो सोशल वेलफेयर के तौर पर भी जो है टाटा ग्रुप की तरफ से किए जाते हैं। और सरकार इस बात को भली भांति जानती है कि देश के उद्योग में और देश की अर्थव्यवस्था में टाटा ग्रुप का और रतन टाटा का क्या योगदान है, और इसीलिए अगर आप देखेंगे तो गृह मंत्री अमित शाह आज उनके जो फ्यूनरल है उसमें शामिल हो रहे हैं।
इतने साल से जो आपका भी एक जर्नी करियर रहा है एज अ पॉलिटिकल जर्नलिस्ट, रतन टाटा का जो भी सरकार हो उनसे एक कनेक्ट रहा है क्या? आप मान के हम ये चले कि चाहे कोई भी सरकार रही हो, रतन टाटा का रिलेशनशिप सरकार और इकोनॉमी और देश के लिए हमेशा आगे रहा, और वो उन्होंने वो बना के चला एक इक्वेशन किसी भी सरकार के साथ।
देखिए बिल्कुल, रतन टाटा के लिए कभी किसी उद्योग जगत में ये नहीं रहा कि वो किसी सरकार के करीबी है, किसी सरकार के साथ उनकी दूरियां हैं। आप देखिए नया जो संसद भवन बना है मोदी सरकार में, वो टाटा ग्रुप की तरफ से बनाया गया है। उसको जो बनाने का काम है, कंस्ट्रक्शन जो है वो टाटा ग्रुप की तरफ से हुआ है। और टाटा ग्रुप के लिए हमेशा एक चीज कहा जाती है कि वो जो है हायर क्लास, एलीट क्लास के लिए भी जो है सामान बनाता है, और निम्न वर्ग के लिए भी जो है वो सामान को बनाता है। चाहे अगर आप देखेंगे, अगर मोटर्स में देखें तो ट्रक से लेके
टाटा नैनो, टाटा की गाड़ियां, लेकिन उसके साथ साथ उनके जगुआर के साथ भी जो है वहाँ फ्रेंचाइज है मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में, लैंड रोवर के साथ है। अगर आप देखेंगे तो टाटा टी, टाटा नमक तक वो बनाते हैं। एयरलाइंस में देखेंगे तो विस्तारा एयरलाइंस है, अभी एयर इंडिया उन्होंने सरकार से लिया है। तो तमाम इस तरीके की चीजों में उद्योग जगत में अगर आप देखें तो टाटा ग्रुप एक बहुत बड़ा नाम है, और देश के अर्थव्यवस्था में एक बहुत बड़ा योगदान जो है सदैव सरकार किसी की रही हो या ना रही हो, उसमें जो है वो टाटा ग्रुप का योगदान हमेशा रहता है। वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट हिमांशु, आप हमारे साथ बने रहिए। जैसा आप कह रहे हैं, एंड लाइक हिमांशु वेरी correctly pointing out, remember, so if there was a Tata Nano which was catering to a certain middle class in the country, and that also is a massive population, he also then went ahead and acquired the Jaguar Land Rover and brought it to India, and that was huge. And a lot of these global acquisitions and collaborations had happened with the global brands. So there was India, Bharat, and how it was dealing with the big business sectors and enterprises across the world. हिमांशु, कितने बजे हम एक्सपेक्ट कर सकते हैं कि गृह मंत्री अमित शाह निकलेंगे यहाँ दिल्ली से और जाएंगे मुंबई की तरफ?
मुझे लगता है दोपहर 10 बजे के करीब जो है गृह मंत्री अमित शाह यहाँ से पहुंचेंगे, और दोपहर 12 बजे के करीब जो है मुंबई पहुंचेंगे, और उसके बाद जो है रतन टाटा को श्रद्धांजलि भी देंगे, और उनके फ्यूनरल में भी जो है गृह मंत्री अमित शाह शामिल होंगे।
Himanshu, thank you very much. I'll come back to you in just a short while. Home Minister Amit Shah will be heading to Mumbai. But remember, this is not about politics or actors. And with the big news that's coming in on our screens now, already there is a long queue at the residence of Ratan Tata in Mumbai. And let's take a look at what we are told is Sachin Tendulkar. The cricket legend has already reached Ratan Tata's house. So that's the big update that I can bring to you. That's the visual on your screen, that Sachin Tendulkar is also there paying tribute to Ratan Tata. He's at the residence. That's the first visual on your screen. Vidya is joining us from Kolaba. Vidya, go ahead. So the fact that Sachin Tendulkar was there, Niranjan Hiranandani early this morning, clearly shows that it's not limited to a certain category or sectors. This is across that he's had that kind of respect and support.
In fact, Pooja, there will be people from all walks of life. We'll see people from Bollywood. We'll see people from the corporate world, from sports people to common people whose lives have been touched at some point or the other by the Tatas. In fact, Ratan Tata and the magnanimity that he had shown in all his work related to the social upliftment of people, that's something that remains, probably no one has been able to cross that kind of level, and his philanthropy is much known, not just amongst the people in Mumbai and Maharashtra, but across the world. And that's probably one of the reasons why there will be a lot of people who are expected to come here. And precisely for that reason, there are arrangements that have been made. You can see a large troop of policemen parked right here. There is also, police vans with the riot control police right here, trying to ensure that situation does not get out of hand. There is expected to be a huge, turnout of people. And right here, you can see people who have been, though the mortal remains of Ratan Tata would be kept at the NCPA post 10:30 in the morning in few hours from now. But you can see people who have come here. They are visiting here. They are coming here to pay their last respects. They will, of course, there will be larger number of people who will be coming to the NCPA, where the mortal remains will remain for a while, for a few hours, until 3:30 in the afternoon, when we'll see the mortal remains and the last journey being undertaken.
Who all have, according to your confirmation, already reached the residence from last evening to this morning. Already it's about 9 a.m. and already appears to be a long line of mentions who have paid their respects to the mortal remains.
Well, of course, last night we had seen, immediately as the news had broken, late in the night, we had seen Mukesh Ambani reaching the hospital itself.
Okay.
Then we had seen the Chief Minister and the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra reaching the hospital. As soon as the mortal remains of Ratan Tata were brought to his residence right here, where he loved to stay and had been residing for the last few years, that's where more people like Niranjan Hiranandani, Sachin Tendulkar, these people have been coming here and paying their respects. So, of course, what we generally get to see outside are huge cars right here, that either enter or exit from this gate. But the cars go inside to the seafront area where the residence of Ratan Tata was, and that's where the mortal remains of Ratan Tata are right now kept, so that people could still pay their respect, and the family members are there with Ratan Tata to ensure that in his last journey, the love and affection that he had been showered with through the life, that still continues even until the mortal remains remain here at the house.
Keep tracking all the latest on that. Remember that when we say this is an end of an era, I understand that we often use this phrase for different personalities and from different sectors. But when it comes to Ratan Tata, who took over as a young man in the 1990s from a legacy of a Parsi family and the Tata Group already that was started by Jamshedji Tata, and then till 2024, it definitely marks an end of an era for the journey, not just of himself, but of India that went along with him. A state funeral, therefore, has been announced. His final journey will be observed in Mumbai. Mortal remains will be kept at the National Centre of Performing Arts, that's the NCPA, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. for public viewing. In case you are a Mumbai resident, this perhaps is that time for the public viewing, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the NCPA. Last rites will then take place around 4 p.m. at the Worli Crematorium. This is the same place where Cyrus Mistry, former Tata chairperson, last rites were also carried out. Maharashtra government, meanwhile, as a day of state mourning, has decided to honour the industrialist, and there will be a day of mourning in the state of Maharashtra. But already, celebrities, ministers, common Indians who may have never really interacted with Ratan Tata, but in some way have benefited from his brand value and the products that have been consumed by the Indian public. Home Minister Amit Shah will represent the government and will be attending the ceremony there in Mumbai. But remember, there's a reason that the kind of reactions that are coming in on this. Krishna Gopal continues to be with us. He's our executive editor with the Business Today magazine. Krishna, as I look at the images of a Tata Nano and the Jaguar Land Rover, it is also very interesting to see that while this was an Indian brand, but the international collaborations, acquisitions, to even do that, attempt that, takes a lot of vision, isn't it? Tell us about that, how he ensured it was an India-centric business, but with a global brand value.
I think to Mr. Tata, the world was his oyster. So he didn't look at it. I think he obviously figured there was a huge market out there outside India right after 1991.
Yes.
And the ability to think big is something, I mean, he had obviously he had the skill or the strength, and he capitalized on that to the hilt. So, I mean, the automobile part is only one part of it. He looked at steel, he looked at FMCG. So he decided to go for, because he knew, I think deep down, that the strength of the Tata brand name could traverse the 7 seas, if I may say so. So the ability to capitalize on that was a skill he built on relentlessly. And once he got it right, let's say with Tetley, he relentlessly pursued it with the other one. So I think confidence gives you more confidence, success gives you more success. So to that extent, I think the overseas strategy was really one part of it, but simultaneously building India's story was equally impressive.
Now, also quickly tell me this, as a business journalist, there have been a lot of, whether entrepreneurs, industrialists or big names who've come and gone. Everyone has left a certain legacy. What do you think it's about Ratan Tata that is finding this kind of a sentiment that's resonating that we see across right now in the country?
2 things. I think he went beyond the classic definition of just a businessman. I think he was a true Indian. The ability to make a contribution to society, not just in business, but through philanthropy. You know, when I speak of that, I'm referring to health, education, all of it. And number 2, just putting India on the global map. These 2 make for what I would call a remarkably compatible marriage. And it's not very often that you see an industrialist who's able to traverse both these paths and come out very successful.
Very well said. Krishna, stay on with me. And, you know, of course, for all of us, Ratan Tata and the family has been a quintessential Indian family, an Indian business family. But also let's remember the kind of history this family has had. Zoroastrian refugees who fled religious persecution from Persia, from Iran, settled in India, and how they then became, as Indian, became this perhaps the biggest contributors in many ways to India's economy and India's image worldwide, and were a prosperous family and continued to have a certain legacy. Ratan Tata is no more, but the state funeral, therefore, has been organized, which means also a day of mourning. Now, state funeral, remember, is usually accorded to either men in uniform or perhaps the big leaders that we have seen in the past, but it has come to the industrialist Ratan Tata for a reason. State funeral also then means that this is a day of mourning that has been announced in the state of Maharashtra. What about mortal remains? What about the funeral? The last rites that will be held in the evening, but before that, there are already hundreds and thousands of people who possibly want to pay a tribute to Ratan Tata and thank him and honor him. And therefore, at the NCPA in Mumbai, there is going to be from 10 to 4. That time has been given. We were already looking at visuals of business tycoons, actors, stars, leaders who are at the residence in Colaba to pay their tribute. Amid all of this, while the top industrialists will be, of course, expected to attend, many have already come early this morning and last evening, but Home Minister Amit Shah will be representing the union government, also because it is a state funeral and Ratan Tata was a big name. So he will be there at the last rites. The final rites will be at the Worli Crematorium in Mumbai. So that's what the day is going to look like. But if you're going through social media, for example, you'll realize the kind of sentiment that's coming in. And why does a common Indian believe that at the age of 86, Ratan Tata, who's lived a fairly long life, but yet there's a certain sadness with his loss. He was suffering from a certain illness for a long time. He had been receiving intensive care at the Breach Candy Hospital. There was a lot of speculation and rumor about his health. He, in fact, said all was well about a few days ago. But eventually, the announcement and confirmation came in from the hospital and the Tata Group. Tributes have been pouring in, one statement after another. Prime Minister Modi called him a visionary business leader, a compassionate soul, and an extraordinary human being. Top industrialists from the world, Sundar Pichai, Gautam Adani, Anand Mahindra and many more who are recalling their experience and interactions with Ratan Tata.
आप जैसे आपको पता है कि टाटा ग्रुप की तरफ से प्रेस रिलीज दिया गया है सुबह 10 बजे से लेके 3:30 बजे तक उनका जो पार्थिव शरीर है वो दर्शन के लिए एनसीपीए में रखा जा रहा है।
एक अनमोल रत्न कहते हैं वो रहा नहीं। ये भारत का कोहिनूर हड़पला भारत का कोहिनूर रहा नहीं, हमसे बिछड़ गया है ऐसा मैं कहूँगा। और रतन टाटा जी हमारे में नहीं रहे, ये बहुत ही वेदनादायी दुखद घटना है हमारे लिए, पूरे देश के लिए। पूरे देश का एक अभिमान था, हमारे महाराष्ट्र का भी अभिमान था।
रतन टाटा जी ने इस देश के अंदर उद्योग, इंडस्ट्री, नए इनोवेशन, नए सेक्टर के अंदर जिस तरीके के भारत का नाम दुनिया के अंदर किया, आज भारत के अंदर कई नए इनोवेशन, नए इंडस्ट्री सेक्टर, नए टेक्नोलॉजी सेक्टर के अंदर टाटा के रतन टाटा जी का बहुत बड़ा योगदान रहा। इसी के साथ साथ उनकी जो दयालुता थी, उन्होंने समाज के उन वंचित गरीब व्यक्तियों के जीवन के लिए विशेष रूप से उन्होंने मेडिकल सेक्टर के अंदर टाटा कैंसर, जिससे सामाजिक बदलाव हो देश के अंदर, इसका बड़ा भाव है। पूरे विश्व के अंदर भी उनकी प्रामाणिकता, विशेषता व्यापार इंडस्ट्रीज के सेक्टर में और सोशल सेक्टर के अंदर भी उनकी बहुत विशेषता, प्रामाणिकता देश के अंदर है। उन्होंने देश को एक बड़े ऊंचाई पर पहुंचाने में बहुत बड़ा योगदान दिया।
रतन टाटा जी ये एक बहुत ही सफल उद्योगपति तो थे ही, लेकिन उससे भी बड़े व्यक्ति के रूप में हम उनको देखते हैं, क्योंकि जिस प्रकार से उन्होंने देश के लिए और समाज के लिए काम किया है, उन्होंने केवल सफल उद्योग नहीं खड़े किए, एक विश्वासार्हता खड़ी की, एक ऐसा ब्रांड खड़ा किया जिसने हमारे देश को एक ग्लोबल इमेज दी और उसके साथ साथ अपनी संपत्ति को टाटा ट्रस्ट में विलीन करते हुए उन्होंने इस विश्वस्त व्यवस्था से, ट्रस्ट से जिस प्रकार के फिलैंथ्रोपिक काम उन्होंने किए हैं, चाहे वो शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में हो, चिकित्सा के क्षेत्र में हो, रिसर्च के क्षेत्र में हो, बुनियादी क्षेत्र में हो, समाज और देश के उपयोगी जो कार्य उन्होंने टाटा ट्रस्ट के माध्यम से किए हैं, मैं ऐसा मानता हूं कि जितने महत्वपूर्ण उनके उद्योग है उतने महत्वपूर्ण ये कार्य भी है। इसीलिए एक बहुत बड़े मन का व्यक्ति आज हमारे बीच से चला गया है, देश के लिए ये बहुत बड़ा नुकसान है।
India's Union Minister for Petroleum and Natural Gas, Hardeep Singh Puri, has spoken to India's News Director Rahul Kanwal. Let's listen in to this tribute.
Now go across to Union Minister for Petroleum and Natural Gas, Hardeep Singh Puri, joining us at a time when the nation mourns the passing of legendary industrialist Mr. Ratan Tata. Mr. Puri, as somebody who watched the life and times of Mr. Ratan Tata, what are your reflections at a time when this country is in mourning?
Rahul, this is by any yardstick, this was a life really well lived. And I think Ratanji's contribution to nation building, and I use that term with a degree of seriousness, is I think in the field of industry and business unparalleled. Here was a man who devoted himself entirely to many causes, building his company here, doing so with a very high degree of professionalism, to philanthropy, which again he executed with a great degree of passion and commitment, and also I think in the process combining those two into nation building. Now why do I say this? Tata companies over a period of time, I mean, businesses have ups and downs, but here was a man who led from up front. He started from the shop floor, had personal experience, and I have had the privilege in my foreign service career of knowing him for a long time. But I had the privilege in the last, this is my 8th year as part of Modi ji's team, many of our national endeavors, he was always there. I mean, and the Tata companies have contributed to that. Let me give you just one or two examples. I mean, when we privatized Air India, we were very happy that the airline was reclaimed by the people where it was originally started. We'll see the turnaround. A lot of people tell me that no, things are because we took so many years to complicate the running. Government cannot run airlines, by the way. That will be very clear. But I'm confident with the Tatas taking it over, the airline will reclaim its former glory and position in global aviation. The building of the new parliament. I'm just citing two examples. And whenever I met him, as he, got on in years, but that inherent professionalism, the inherent humility and decency, a person who was absolutely, brought the finest values, both human and professional business values. So I think the outpourings of grief and expressions of sadness which are coming in are fully understandable. And I'm seeing some comments. I mean, legends like this don't fade away, and I entirely agree. So I think his name will be etched. He'll be sorely missed by different people whose lives he touched. I know a lot of people who've known him at a family level, very close, and the stories I hear. But I've had the privilege of meeting him over, I think, the last 35 years. And I've always, left that meeting after, my admiration for him increasing even more.
Mr. Puri, in your capacity, first as diplomat, now as Union Minister, you meet with so many different industrial groups, industrialists, business personalities. What stood out as far as Mr. Tata was concerned? What set him apart from all his peers?
First of all, I tell you, in many ways, he was a very uncomplicated person. I had the privilege of meeting him in London when I was Deputy High Commissioner. That was a time when the Tata Group made some major investments in Europe. And Lakshmi was ambassador in Budapest. So that's also, so I think in both places there was 100 million pounds here and $100 million there, the kind of investment. But whenever you met him, he didn't strike you as being, somebody who was in any way, conscious of the kind of economic heft that the group which he presided over presented. Just give you one example. I had a friend who worked with me for many years, D.K. Berry, who used to always accompany him when he came to Delhi. And when I became the union minister, he came to see me once. This was, I think, in 2019 or something. I don't remember the exact date. So once he asked Berry, he said, where are all the people? So D.K. Berry was not clear what he meant. He told me later. He said, normally when I go to minister's house, there's a lot of security, a lot of people are hearing. He said, what happened? He had more people around him when he was in London. So I mean, he used to come up with such simple, straight this thing. And, he also had a very quiet sense of humor. And this is not just with our government. With our government, he was particularly close to, I know PM was, interacting with him many times. But I remember even with the Manmohan Singh government, there was a meeting once when I was visiting from abroad. I think there was some head of state or government visit. And I remember standing next to Montek. And suddenly I told Montek, Mr. Tata is standing all by himself there. I mean, his was a quiet but a solid presence. I mean, some of us walked up to him and engaged him in conversation. And anyone who met him, either in Mumbai or when he came down to Delhi, and look at the landmarks, that he has done. The Tata Group of companies, what he's had, and each one of them, I think, bore the imprint of his personality and decision making. I know for a fact that some of the decisions professionally I've been involved in over the years, they're a professional group. Some of their professionals didn't want to do certain things, but his vision prevailed, and his vision, I think, will, and when the history of these last 50 years is written, it's going to be, his name will be etched in golden letters.
Mr. Puri, for sharing these touching memories with us and joining us. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
So like you heard, it is specifically about the interactions that have happened more than just the business legacy that he has said. We're looking at the visuals of the Tata Nano in 2008 that was launched, and the same year, while he did bring this vision for the middle class Indian families, 1 lakh of rupees for the families who cannot afford more but must have a car, and then also acquired the Jaguar Land Rover. Remember, this again happened in 2008. So in the same year, in that period, he was constantly putting vision to light and to ensure that global alliances, collaborations, but India-centric business continues. So let's go across now. Joining me in this morning telecast, Siddharth Zarabi. He's the managing editor, Business Today TV. Siddharth, over all the decades of career that you've also had as a business journalist, there are many industrialists who've come and gone. What do you think is about Ratan Tata's death that's come after a good long life, and yet there is a certain sadness about it?
Well, very clearly, it's a mix of the person and his performance that is driving this outpouring of emotion all across. And remember, the Tata brand is a storied brand. I would argue that there is no other business brand from India that has gone global to the extent that it has. 100 countries plus footprint, real businesses spread all across the world, iconic brands owned by an Indian company, a company that was founded way back in 1886 that has managed to survive, thrive, multiple different changes. Look at the Tata companies span, the kind of eras that they have witnessed: pre-independence, post-independence, license Raj, all manner of socialistic tendencies, usurious tax rate, very difficult environment to do business. They compete in regulated sectors, they compete in non-regulated sectors, from semiconductors to tea, from the Tata Ki Laktakia, that is their 1 lakh nano project, to some of the most advanced projects from a strategic and national security perspective. They span the entire, arc of business. And there are very few comparable instances of someone who had steered a group from 1991 onwards. And Pooja, remember, 1991, go back, both of us were in school. What was India then? The reforms, the difficulties that this country saw at a broader economic level, and taking the group from somewhere around $4 billion in at that time to becoming the first group conglomerate to have more than $100 billion of revenue. So there are multiple stellar achievements that Mr. Ratan Tata is known for. And then, of course, his personality, his persona, a bachelor who loved dogs. You had Strays having a sort of free run of Bombay House, the headquarters. His charity, among so many other charitable projects. I was trying to look up data, and it's while we can collate and get an exact number, it is his personal donations alone may be worth 9,000 odd crore. That's according to one set of data.
And where were these personal donations going, Siddharth, in the kind of philanthropy that you're rightly pointing out? I saw that he was involved in a lot of social causes and startups as well, for younger entrepreneurs who wanted to make a mark.
Well, at the group level, one of the mandates for the Tata Group at the holding company level is a very strong charter for charity. That's number one. And then is the personal part of it. I just want to give one example. The Tata chair at Harvard Business School, $50 million in just one instance. And just think of the impact. Harvard, which the most storied business school, creating some of the most well-known managers, CEOs for powerful companies all over the world. And you have a Tata chair. And, overseas, if you were to ask somebody about the Tata Group, many would not even believe that it was a Indian company. Some of the most iconic hotels that are run in India and overseas belong to this group. And in some ways, the benchmarks in service in the hotel industry that this group set.
Like you're correctly mentioning here, Siddharth, that this was as much about what he did in business, but also about the personality that he had beyond it as well. Siddharth, I request you to please stay on, because India Today's news director Rahul Kanwal also spoke to Ajay Piramal, the chairperson of the Piramal Group and a billionaire businessman, on how he remembers Ratan Tata, personal interactions and the professional ones as well.
Let's now go across to one of India's most prominent industrialists, Mr. Ajay Piramal, joins us on this broadcast. Mr. Piramal, at this time, India mourns the passing of the legendary industrialist, Mr. Ratan Tata. As somebody who observed his life and times at such close quarters, how do you remember this man and what made him special?
I think I was fortunate to first, when as a young person in business, to read and see Mr. Tata and read about his achievements, and later on, of course, work very closely with him during perhaps one of the most challenging times in his life, when I was on the board and the succession, the issue of Mr. Pius mystery took place. I think what I remember, in business is outstanding. Just look at the numbers. In 1991, when he took over the leadership of the Tata Group, the turnover was in the region of 5,000-6,000 crores. Today, as we talk, the market cap was 5,000 or 6,000 crores. Today, as he has left, the market cap of the group has exceeded 35 lakh crores. But that's not as important as the other things that he has left, not only for the group, for me, and I would think for the nation. First of all, he made us believe that Indian industry can be globally competitive, and did some of the largest acquisitions that any Indian business has done, whether it was the Jaguar Land Rover, whether it was in steel, and so many others. And India could hold its head high on the international scene. But more than that, again, I think the values that he has left behind in the group, Tata's was always a value-based group. He only enhanced that within the group. And even now, though he left chairmanship in 2012, it still continues in the group. And that, again, is a legacy which he's left behind. Besides that, when you see, he faced so many challenges in his life, and particularly in the last stage of his life. But even in that, he held his head high. He did it with integrity. And at the end, the court proved that everything that was said about him, which was so slanderous, it was untrue. And there, during this period, I worked closely with him, and I saw how he listened, how he was graceful, how he was patient and did not lose his temper. The ethics and the trust, whether it is with the biggest people in the world, biggest industries, or with the smallest, it was always the same. His humility, I have not seen a more humble person. You can imagine his status as a businessman, as a leader, but he would so often, more often than not, insist on coming to meet me at my office or residence. And I would feel so embarrassed, but that's what he was. He was always, and the goodness, the way how he would, he made business as a force of good. The way he would, any cause, for any living creature, whether it was human beings, whether it was dogs, he was always in front. I think the Tata Group has made us proud to be Indians, and Mr. Tata has led that with distinction. He will forever, his lessons will be always etched in my memory and will be a good guiding light for me and for our group.
Mr. Piramal, most people have seen Mr. Tata from the outside as somebody who's seen him in not so pleasant times. What did you learn from him about how he reacted to adversity and having to deal with the kind of unprecedented challenges with succession, which you would have never imagined would come and hit him so hard?
So it was a very, very tough decision, and I've seen him agitating over that decision when he took that it was needed that change was required in the group. But I think I saw the strength of his whole character in that, and the way he approached it. And I think if you would even recollect at the time when this took place, there was a lot of negativity in the media among business that he's done the wrong thing. But he knew he was right. He did not speak about it. In fact, he was very quiet. And that's how he dealt with it. It did have the slanderous allegations against him that were put by the other side did affect him, I have to say that. But he took it in his stride. He was always, as I said, tough and graceful. And I learned how to deal with difficult situations. Sometimes you have to take the tough decisions, and to change the chairman of the Tata Group, which had never been done before, was a tough decision. But it has proved right, as you can see, over time. But yeah, I learned a lot. How to be patient, how to listen to everybody, and then ultimately take his own decision.
Of his international acquisitions, the desire to build the Aam Aadmi's car, purchasing Air India from the government, despite a lot of people saying it's going to be very difficult to run. Of all the things he did, what's the one decision or move that he made which stood out to you?
No, I think it's just the thinking about it, that India can go abroad and in the most difficult competitive environment can succeed. Every decision there are, and the fact that he thought the whole nano, that story is so moving, regretfully did not do as it was, but sometimes you make mistakes. But the fact, why did he do it? Because he wanted the average Aam Aadmi, as you said, who was sitting with his family and 2 kids, 4 of them on a two-wheeler, to have a comfortable and safe driving. So I think these are just examples of his life, which, you can keep thinking about it. I don't think we started looking at globally acquiring businesses only after what he taught us in what he did, whether it was with JLR, whether it was with Chorus, and so many other places.
And finally, about the future of the Tata Group, you've seen how they've changed in the past few decades. In his absence, that giant banyan tree no longer there, how do you see the group shape up in time to come?
So one of the things, one of his big strengths has been to develop a lot of talent within the group. That is one thing. And the other thing is that the legacy that he leaves behind of values, of trust, of ethics, that's there. You have seen that in the last few years, he was not actively involved in the group, but the group has done well. And I can see that under the leadership of the present chairman of Tata Sons, Mr. Chandra, and the others in the trust, it will continue to do well. I think Tata is too important an institution for the country to not succeed. I can see that everybody, even during the big crisis, I could see that government and all was aligned to see that the group only succeeded.
Well, for taking out time and joining us and sharing your personal insights into the man, Mr. Piramal, thank you so much. Deeply appreciate this. Thank you, sir.
Taking a cue there from what Mr. Ajay Piramal said, that it was the pride that Indians felt over the years that there was a brand to call our own that was so trusted and of a global value, whether it was a Tata bus on the streets or perhaps the TTS or Tata Steel and more. On that note, I'm heading to a very short break, but as the visuals continue to come in and ahead of the last rides, what is the Colaba Residence Street looking like in Mumbai? After a short break, stay tuned. Thank you.
Razr 50 Ultra comes with Google Gemini.
एक दोस्त है जिससे बात किए बिना हम रह नहीं सकते, बातें घंटों की हों या कुछ सेकंड्स की। ये दोस्त हमेशा हमारी बात सुनता है, क्योंकि हमारा सबसे अच्छा दोस्त भगवान ही तो है।
मंगलदीप, दिल से करो बात भगवान के साथ।
Fly in the coop, but I need some more. My crew gonna wipe the floor. You're gonna weep when I shut the door. Your antics make me bored, cause I just came around to say hello.
Motorola Razr 50. Flip the script.
Hello, Moto.
Only channel in 3 warring nations. Gaurav Sawant live in Israel.
We are running away to safety.
Ashraf Wani live in Lebanon.
This is the spot where that bomb has actually hit.
Ashutosh Mishra live from Lebanon.
This is how the life have become for the people of Lebanon.
War reporters on the front. World exclusive combat reportage. Israel, Hezbollah, Iran. All out war. 360-degree coverage.
All right, these are the visuals coming in from Mumbai. This is the Colaba residence where Ratan Tata had lived all his life. And we are told that in just a short while, the mortal remains of Ratan Tata is going to be taken to the NCPA. Look at that. It's the preparations for the state funeral. That is accorded, of course, to a certain legacy left behind. It's usually for whether it's the senior-most leader, former either a chief minister or men in uniform. And there is a certain legacy that Ratan Tata has left behind. And therefore, even though an industrialist, there's a state funeral and a day of mourning that has been announced for him and with regard to his death in Mumbai. So the arrangements are being made for that. Just to give a background of what is likely to happen in the next 1 hour. The mortal remains of Ratan Tata will be then taken to NCPA. Look at that, the vehicle that we can see right there when the gates opened. Now, the reason NCPA is chosen is because there are already people queuing up at the residence in Colaba to pay their last respects. But it's not the space that can possibly have so many people coming in, even though already we are told ever since last evening, there have been the who's who of the world, of the country, different sectors and people who have started to gather. So for a public viewing, a public tribute that people who may have met him or simply been influenced or inspired by Ratan Tata, and if they want to pay their last respects, can come to the NCPA. That's where Vidya is presently at the Colaba residence. Vidya, I can already see a lot of arrangements, security being made. What are you picking up around you?
Well, certainly, the authorities here are trying to make sure that just everything goes on smoothly. Who are coming here to pay their last respects. The traffic has been completely stopped. Just about everyone is at standstill. Trying to make sure that the mortal remains will move from here. There was a display of band playing right here, and the gun salutes were also done. Right here, the mortal remains will leave the residence of Ratan Tata in some time with the family members in tow. Around 10:30 it is expected that at the NCPA, the mortal remains will be kept for final viewing. But certainly, full-fledged arrangements have been made with the deployment of police, riot control police, and Tata security also. Remember, the company also has deployed some people here to make sure that there is a synergy and consonance with what everyone is doing, and certainly for that very reason you can see, though there's a huge crowd of people. I mean, if I can just show you, there's the number of people who have just collected here from the neighborhood. They're just waiting to catch a glimpse of mortal remains of Ratan Tata. Right here you can see the the people of Mumbai right here waiting for the mortal remains because they couldn't go inside. Probably they feel that they might not be able to go inside NCPA as well, and that's the reason why they're just hoping that they'll be able to catch a glimpse of Ratan Tata's mortal remains right here. And in some time, as you can see right here, the mortal remains are being moved in this particular vehicle. This particular white vehicle, this ambulance decorated with flowers, is carrying the hearse is carrying the mortal remains of Ratan Tata, which are being taken. It's been beautifully decorated with flowers, white flowers, and you can see that some of the family members too are following the vehicle. They'll be going with the mortal remains to the NCPA area. You can see there are other cars of the family members right here, which are also going with the hearse, and you can see the family members sitting in the car, and Tata Sons chief right there, and family members also who are moving with the mortal remains. And this cavalcade will slowly reach NCPA, which is not very far from here, and the cavalcade of vehicles has almost left and will be reaching. As you can see, it's an unending row of vehicles that's coming in from the sea side of this particular building, and though the family members are there inside, you can see that these people all have paid their respects who are not able to go, but the rest of the family members of the Tata family are on their way. A large community of Parsi people is also heading with the cavalcade that is going to NCPA, where the mortal remains of Ratan Tata will be kept. But and it's for about till later in the afternoon that the mortal remains will remain there for people to pay their last respect. You can see many family members from the Tata clan. I mean, you can name them, and they're all here, along with the people who are a close circle of Ratan Tata. Flowers, white flowers that have decorated the vehicle, they're all being taken to NCPA, where the father, the keeping of the mortal remains, making sure that everyone is able to pay their last respect and homage to Ratan Tata. So all those arrangements have been done at NCPA.
It was absolutely incredible. Remember, he was no film star, no head of state, not a big politician. An industrialist who had constantly been innovating as a torchbearer, as a transformer, and has constantly bring out experiments that contributed to India's economy and image. So many people influenced and inspired by Ratan Tata's personality, work and legacy. And that's the reason you see people on the streets. Nobody has asked them to come there, but to at least have that last glimpse. And perhaps say a thank you for building a trusted brand that India is very proud of. I'm leaving you with these visuals. We'll go across to NCPA. When we return, 86-year-old Ratan Tata, no more, leaving behind these images that you see on your screen, from which Indians clearly benefit. After a very short break, stay tuned.
एक दोस्त है जिससे बात किए बिना हम रह नहीं सकते, बातें घंटों की हों या कुछ सेकंड्स की। ये दोस्त हमेशा हमारी बात सुनता है, क्योंकि हमारा सबसे अच्छा दोस्त भगवान ही तो है।
मंगलदीप, दिल से करो बात भगवान के साथ।
Fly in the coop, but I need some more. My crew gonna wipe the floor. You're gonna weep when I shut the door. Your antics make me bored, cause I just came around to say hello.
Motorola Razr 50. Flip the script.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Razr 50 Ultra comes with Google Gemini.
Hi, I am AI anchor Sana, bringing the top headlines for you, presented by Motorola. Modi cabinet approves continuation of supply of free fortified rice under PM Garib Kalyan Yojana till December 2028. Big boost for BJP in Haryana. Independent MLA Savitri Jindal extends her support to the party. Independent MLAs Rajesh Joon and Devendra Kadyan joins BJP. Gaza's health ministry says Palestinian death toll from Israel-Hamas war has passed 42,000.
ने सारे हथकंडे अपनाए, लेकिन हरियाणा की जनता ने दिखा दिया वो अब कांग्रेस और अर्बन नक्सल के नफरती षड्यंत्रों का शिकार नहीं होने वाले। साथियों, कांग्रेस हमेशा बांटो और सत्ता पाओ के फॉर्मूले पर चली है। कांग्रेस ने बार बार ये सिद्ध किया है कि वो एक गैर जिम्मेदार दल बन गया है। वो अभी भी देश को बांटने के लिए नए नए नैरेटिव गढ़ रही है। कांग्रेस समाज को बांटने का फॉर्मूला लाती रहती है। कांग्रेस देश के मतदाताओं को गुमराह करने से बाज नहीं आ रही। कांग्रेस का फॉर्मूला साफ है कि मुसलमानों को डराते रहो, उनको भय दिखाओ, उनको वोट बैंक के कन्वर्ट करो और वोट बैंक को मजबूत करो। कांग्रेस के एक भी नेता ने आज तक कभी नहीं कहा कि हमारे मुस्लिम भाई बहनों में कितनी जातियां होती हैं। मुस्लिम जातियों की बात आते ही कांग्रेस के नेता पर मुंह पर ताला लगाकर बैठ जाते हैं, लेकिन जब भी हिंदू समाज की बात आती है तो कांग्रेस उनकी चर्चा जाति से ही शुरू करती है। कांग्रेस की नीति है हिंदुओं की एक जाति को दूसरी जाति से लड़ाओ। कांग्रेस जानती है कि जितना हिंदू पटेगा उतना ही उसका फायदा होगा। कांग्रेस किसी भी तरीके से हिंदू समाज में आग लगाए रखना चाहती है ताकि वो उस पर राजनीतिक रोटियां सेकती रहें। भारत में जहां भी चुनाव होते हैं वहां कांग्रेस यही फॉर्मूला लागू करती है। अपना वोट बैंक पक्का करने के लिए कांग्रेस समाज में जहर घोलने के हर हथकंडे अपना रही है। कांग्रेस पूरी तरह से सांप्रदायिक और जातिवाद का चुनाव लड़ती रहती है।
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Hello there, a very good morning. You're watching India Today Television. Our top focus continues to be Ratan Tata, the name that has become synonymous with Indian entrepreneurship, the man who was the face of India Inc., a household name. He's passed away at the age of Ratan Tata. Truly the end of an era. We're getting you up to speed, celebrating the life and times of Ratan Tata. Many more details up ahead on the show. First, the headlines. Veteran industrialist Ratan Tata passes away at the age of 86. Mortal remains being taken to Cultural Centre in Mumbai. Last rites of Ratan Tata at 3:30 p.m. Home Minister Amit Shah is going to be representing the Government of India at the funeral. Tributes pour in from all corners for Ratan Tata. Netas, actors and businessmen condole Ratan Tata's death. A visionary who touched lives in and out of the boardroom. Delhi Chief Minister, no entry politics in Delhi. Atishi locked out of CM House. Civic body sealed CM residence. AAP claims CM luggage was thrown out. Congress bleeds but allies attack. Congress snapped for UP by-poll. Akhilesh declares Samajwadi Party candidates. SP Netas taunt to Congress. All eyes on Israel's next move. Iran and Israel trade warnings say Israel only force fighting Iran. Hezbollah pounded in Lebanon. Donald Trump praises Prime Minister Modi, calls him the nicest human being, says Modi is his friend.
Somebody was threatening India. I said, let me help. I'm very good with those people. Let me help. I will do it. I will do it. And I will do anything necessary. We've defeated them for hundreds of years.
And we have some news just coming in this morning. Bharat Ratna clamor. Shiv Sena Eknath Shinde faction has demanded to propose Sri Ratan Tata's name for Bharat Ratna Award. Shiv Sena leader has written to Chief Minister Eknath Shinde urging to propose Ratan Tata's name to the central government for Bharat Ratna, which is the highest civilian award to be bestowed by the government of India, adding that this acknowledgement would serve as a fitting tribute to a man who epitomized values of kindness, integrity, selfless service to humanity. Highest civilian award for Ratan Tata passed away yesterday. Remember, this is in fact a clamor which has started with the Shiv Sena leader writing to the Maharashtra Chief Minister, saying that his name, the name of Ratan Tata, is to be proposed to the Government of India for the highest civilian award to be given. I'm going to go straight across, in fact, to our news director, Rahul Kanwal, for the very latest on that big story that we are tracking very closely. All right, staying with this development today with Shiv Sena leader, writing to Chief Minister Eknath Shinde, urging to propose Ratan Tata's name to the central government for Bharat Ratna. I'm going to go straight now across to my colleague Rahul Kanwal for the very latest on that big story.
In India today, senior union minister, Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia joins us as India mourns the demise of Mr. Ratan Tata. Minister Scindia, welcome. You were at the helm when the Tata Group was trying to purchase Air India from the government. Give us your personal reflections on, that whole process, your interactions with Mr. Tata and his desire to buy a government PSU, which many thought would be a commercially unviable proposition, but his commitment to do this was very high. Explain all of that to us, sir.
Rahul, first of all, it's a first loss for me, and I join the whole nation in paying homage to the business titan Ratan Tata ji. My association with him goes back almost about 40 years. I first met with him when I was all of 10 years old with my father. And it's a very old family relationship going back 3 generations. My great-grandfather, Madhav Maharaj I, was very close to Jamshedji Tata ji when he set up Tata Steel. And in fact, it was the Scindias who funded Tata Steel at that point of time. My grandfather, Jivaji Rao Scindia, was very close to GRD Tata ji and brought Air India to Gwalior when Air India started in 1942. And my late father was very close to Ratan Tata ji. I have had a long association of 40 years in my years in Mumbai, then as a banker when I came back from Harvard, where we met with many Tata Group companies as well as Ratan Tata ji. Always been someone who's been very caring, a visionary. What he accomplished in his lifetime is beyond the scope and reach of any normal human being. He had the ability to take risks where no one would dream of venturing, whether it was the Tata Nano project, whether it was the acquisition of Tata Tately, the acquisition of Chorus, JLR, and then finally taking Air India back into the Tata fold from where she had initially sprung. He was someone who was always obsessed with quality of service, obsessed with customer feedback, obsessed with satisfying every single customer that the Tata Group interacted with. And he was very clear on the notion that profits are secondary, satisfying every customer is first. He was a visionary leader not only for the Tata Group, taking it from a $4 billion enterprise to a $100 billion enterprise, but he was a visionary for India, Rahul. He was one of the giants that planted India's flag firmly across nations across the world. And therefore, he will be someone who will be missed by every single Indian, irrespective of age. I remember in 2016 taking him to the Scindia School Founders Day at the ripe old age of 80. And the way he interacted with children, the way they flocked to him, he was an icon even in this generation's mind. I last had a meal with him 2 years ago in his Mumbai house with my family, with my wife and my son, introducing him to the next generation. And he was effusive, warm, caring. His love for animals his philanthropic value. I still remember in early days as a child, every stray dog was welcome in Bombay House, his headquarters. And at the heart of it, a very caring man. And he's going to be missed because not only was he the head of a huge multi-billion-dollar enterprise, but the heart of it, he was a wonderful human being. And it's a personal loss for me. A relationship which I have cherished throughout my life.
You know, in your capacity as union minister in so many different governments, you interact with different industrial groups, different businessmen. What stood out for you in Mr. Ratan Tata? You know, given the fact that he was so passionate about, you know, the India story, wanting to, and I asked you this earlier about buying Air India from the government when so many around him said this was a bad financial idea, or even wanting to build the Indian Aam Aadmi car, where again his professionals around him said this may not be financially viable. So clearly he had a higher purpose beyond just commerce.
He was an evangelist, and goes back to what I said to you. He believed in creating value for every customer. He was a person who had the ability to take risks that you and I would never even dream of. And if someone said that this is impossible, that's where you would find Ratan Tata. And that ability is something that you cannot acquire. That ability is something that you've got to be born with. And he had that capability. It's probably genetic because Jamshedji Tata thought of putting up a steel plant in what was barren Jamshedpur at those times. American investors, UK investors 150 years ago were refused to back him. And my great-grandfather then came in and bought up the whole issue of Tata Steel in those days. So the Tatas throughout history, J.R.D. Tataji, look at his life. And Ratanji's is, if at all, probably topping that. And that's why he is a great son of India, and a son of India that will be missed sorely by each one of us. Not only because he has the ability to be able to think far beyond into the future, but because in that process, he was able to touch people's lives, the people he worked with, his staff, his pets. So he was, if I may say so, quote unquote, a gentle giant.
Well, you've spoken about how your families go back several generations, and I didn't know that it was the House of Scindias that helped set up and provide the capital for the steel plant. I realized that you have a flight to catch. Let me not hold you back. Thank you very much, Jyotiraditya Scindia ji, for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rahul. Thank you.
Already heard from the Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia. In fact, remembering Ratan Tata, he importantly said that not just as a great visionary, as an industrialist who put India on the world map, but also as a person who was a great human being, is what the Minister has said. India mourning Ratan Tata's demise today. Beacon of India Inc. and philanthropist who steered a sprawling corporate empire. On your screens right now are pictures, in fact, of the mortal remains of Ratan Tata being, in fact, taken away. It's going to be kept at a cultural center in Mumbai, where there will be an opportunity for everybody to pay their last respects, to their last tributes to Ratan Tata. In fact, the